Witchcraft in ancient Rome wasn't just about potions and curses. It was a reflection of the fears, beliefs, and social dynamics of the time. From powerful curse tablets and poison trials to eerie depictions of witches in literature, Roman society had a complex relationship with the supernatural. Let's dive into the fascinating world of witchcraft in ancient Rome and see how magic and mysticism shaped their world. Witchcraft in ancient Rome encompassed a wide variety of practices, each with its own purpose. Some of the most common were potions, curse tablets, and dolls. Potions were both medicinal and magical, crafted to heal or harm. Roman physicians often prepared these mixtures, but the line between medicine and magic was thin. Potions for enhancing health or sexual vitality were common, but so were lethal concoctions meant to poison enemies. Then, there were curse tablets known as defictiones. Imagine small sheets of lead inscribed with curses and pleas to the gods. Romans believed the heavy, dull nature of lead made it perfect for binding spells, tying the fate of their enemies to the tablet itself. These curse tablets were often buried in graves or at crossroads, where they would supposedly draw power from the underworld. The curses weren't just vague threats, they were specific, targeting people's health, love lives, or businesses. If you crossed a Roman and they had access to a curse tablet, you might end up on one of these dark pieces of lead. The third key practice was the use of dolls, eerily similar to voodoo. Romans crafted these figures to represent individuals they wanted to influence, harm, or control. This practice was often tied to love spells or revenge plots, showing that magic was a tool for both the desperate and the ambitious. Roman society viewed witches with suspicion and fear, unlike the Greek enchantresses who were sometimes alluring. Roman witches, often depicted in literature, embodied everything society feared about female power. They were described as old, frightening, and dangerous, wielding dark powers that threatened the social order. These depictions weren't just stories, they reflected real anxieties about women's influence. Literature such as Lucan's Pharsalia paints a vivid picture of these witches. One character, Ericto, performs horrifying rituals using human remains and animal parts. These tales weren't just meant to entertain, they reinforced the image of witches as malevolent and monstrous. The message was clear: witches defied the natural order, and their power was something to be feared and controlled. For many women, engaging in witchcraft meant living on the fringes of society, ostracized and viewed with suspicion. These negative portrayals also underscored the societal need to suppress female autonomy. In a culture that prized control and hierarchy, witches represented a destabilizing force that needed to be managed. Witchcraft in ancient Rome wasn't just a matter of superstition, it was also a legal concern. Roman authorities took accusations of witchcraft seriously, often seeing it as a threat to societal order. One of the most significant witch trials occurred in 331 BCE when a mass poisoning scandal erupted. Several women were accused of poisoning prominent senators, and the ensuing investigation led to around 170 women being executed. This incident shows how accusations of witchcraft could be politically and socially motivated, especially when targeting women who stepped outside traditional roles. The Lex Cornelia de Sicariis et Veneficis, enacted in 81 BCE, was one of the laws specifically targeting harmful magic. This law treated witchcraft involving poison as a serious offense, punishable by death. However, the severity of punishment often depended on the discretion of local magistrates, highlighting how witchcraft could be both a serious crime and a tool for manipulation, depending on who was in power. Trials were often public spectacles, serving as both a form of control and entertainment. By making these trials visible, the state reinforced the dangers of witchcraft and the importance of adhering to Roman societal norms. Throughout Roman history, several cases highlight how witchcraft was intertwined with politics and social control. The mass poison trial in 331 BCE is one example, but there were others that revealed the complexities of Roman attitudes toward magic. Take the case of Aurelia, a young woman from a noble family who used witchcraft for personal gain. She sought a witch's help to cast a love spell on Lucius, an aspiring senator. Although love spells were common, they carried risks. If caught, even someone as privileged as Aurelia faced severe consequences. This story shows that witchcraft was not limited to the poor. The elite also dabbled in these practices, often for political or personal reasons. Sulla's reforms were another response to the growing fear of witchcraft. As a dictator, Sulla implemented laws specifically targeting harmful magic. His reforms made it clear that those found guilty of practicing destructive spells could face death, illustrating how the state sought to control the influence of magic. Witchcraft accusations in ancient Rome were disproportionately directed at women. The reasons for this were complex, but it often boiled down to societal fears and the desire to control women who deviated from traditional roles. Women who used curse tablets or engaged in other magical practices were seen as stepping outside their expected social boundaries. This perception made it easier to accuse them of witchcraft as a means of keeping them in line. Accusations were also politically convenient. Declaring someone a witch allowed authorities to eliminate rivals or consolidate power, using the guise of protecting public morality. In this way, witchcraft became a tool of power and control, weaponized to suppress not just women, but any group or individual who posed a threat to the established order. Witchcraft in ancient Rome was more than just a collection of mystical practices. It was a powerful force that intertwined with the social, political, and legal fabric of Roman life. Whether through curse tablets, love spells, or potions, Romans used magic to navigate their world, control others, and gain power. The state's response to witchcraft, through laws, trials, and public executions, shows how deeply these fears ran. But it also reveals how the Romans used these accusations as tools for political manipulation and social control. Ultimately, the story of witchcraft in Rome is one of fear, power, and the fight to maintain order. It's a reminder that even in ancient times, the supernatural wasn't just about belief. It was about power, who held it, and who feared losing it. Thanks for joining us on this journey through ancient Roman witchcraft. If you found this deep dive fascinating, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell us what you think. Would you have dared to dabble in magic in ancient Rome?